I want to start this video by saying I hope you are all having a wonderful day and that you did not get as much snow as I did because it's driving me insane. Today's video is going to be a video on makeup mistakes and how to repair them, and also how to touch up your makeup, after your face has had it like mine has today. So it took me a long time to be able to put this video up today because I had to wait until my makeup was basically like ready to give out to where I would need a real touch up. So that way I could show you guys how to do it. So if you look at underneath my eyes right now, you can see it's all creased and it looks horrible. Like all this looks really bad. I'm missing some foundation like right around here, all around my nose there, my chin here. I'm missing some like right in here. So, I mean, like I said, it's been on since 8:30 this morning and it's now like 6:30 at night. So, alright, so I guess I'm just going to get started with this. You can just take a concealer and put it over it underneath your eyes, but for me, I tend to feel like it looks really cakey. So the way that I handle underneath my eyes, if I have to repair it, is I'll take a makeup wipe and I will just remove right underneath my eyes. I try to not go past the very end of my lower lash line, and I take it in as far as my inner corner, but not all the way up under my nose. So then I'll just wipe that like this, very carefully to not mess up anything around it. And I kind of try to make it like a boxed off section. But it comes to like a point like right there. So you can see here where there's no makeup, and then where there's makeup over here. Alright, so what I'll do, I'm only going to do one so that way I can show you is, so you can see an example of what it looked like before and then after. So I'll let that dry for a second. I'll take a little bit of moisturizer, and literally just like a teeny tiny bit where you barely notice it on your finger, and I'll tap it into that area like this, and I just try to keep it right in the area where I wiped off the concealer, which it'll give it the moisture that it lost throughout the day with all the powders and everything sitting on my face. And then I'll let that dry out for a second, pat it in a little bit more. Now my concealer always creases a little bit underneath my eyes, but not to the extent of this. This is from, alright, so it's been about 10 hours that the makeup's been on my face. So, I mean, that's why it has creased like that so badly. And I used a lot of powder. So now I'll just take my concealer, and I use like this one here, a very thin concealer. This is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. And I'll just tap a little bit underneath my eye. I don't want to bring it all the way up to the edges to where the concealer and foundation still is on my face. I just want to put it right there underneath my eye. So once it's there, just like as if you're putting on concealer, regularly, just tap it in with the damp beauty blender, like that. And it's going to look a little bit brighter, but it's not going to be like crazy bright, and I'll show you how to fix that too. So my favorite under eye powder at the moment is the Rimmel True Match, or the Rimmel London Match Perfection loose face powder. So it looks like this. And, sorry, it's almost empty. I'm just trying to tap it out. Alright. So I'll take a little bit of powder on my beauty blender, and I'll just tap it right into that area where I just put the concealer. And I always try to look up so that way I can stop the extra creasing. And like I said, it's a touch-up, so it's not going to be 100%, but it's going to be a lot better than, what that looks like. Alright. So now that that's done there, I'm going to take a regular powder brush away any of the extra that's on there. And then to make it match the rest of my face, I'll just take my, like this is my contour and bronzer brush, and I'll just touch it up like right in here, with no extra powder. It's just whatever loose powder was already on my brush. And then I just take a little bit of the blush I had on my brush from, earlier in the day, and tap it over, and it looks like it was just put on freshly like I did in the morning. So I'll get closer so you can see. I have my regular crease, which I always have, but if you look here, compared to here, it looks a lot better. Now, mind you, it is a little bit more dry still because the makeup has been there all day. So my eye, like it's just my skin in general. But you can, I'm sure you can see the difference. Like there's like so much creasing here and it's all like really loose looking, but like, you know, crepey. And then this one isn't as bad. I mean, like I said, I have my natural crease I have right there. That's just from my age. I mean, I'm 35 years old. I'm actually turning 36. I'm actually turning 36 this year, so I don't expect my face to be perfect. But if you look at this side, it looks like it's more of a fresh makeup look compared to that side. So now, if I want to fix my foundation spots, like where I'm missing foundation on my face, what I'll do is I'll take a concealer, but not my everyday concealer, like from underneath my eyes. I'll take a darker concealer. Like here's one here. This dries out underneath my eyes, but it's great for around my face. So what I'll do is I'll take this concealer and I tap off all the extra because there's so much extra on this doe foot. And I'll tap it into places where I'm missing foundation. Like that. And then like right in here. Maybe a little bit here. A little bit here. Alright. And then I'll just blend that in since it's darker. I mean, it looks crazy right now. But since it's a darker concealer, it's not going to look as crazy on my face. And I feel like concealer, since most of it's thicker, especially like Shape Tape, it just blends into the foundation so much better. And it doesn't give you like a odd discoloration or anything like that. And then I just blend it out like I would as if I'm using foundation. And then again, sorry if you can hear my family, they're all home, so I try not to film with them home, but I have to today. And I'll just take any of the powders that I have here, like this Dakota Airspun, and I'll tap that in to the areas to set where I put the concealer in. You just gotta love kids. I say, quiet, mom's filming. Then they scream at the dog. I mean, they're not screaming at him, but they're playing with the dog, so. Alright, so now my face will kind of look a little bit funny, because I have all the white spots all around and everything. Like I said, it wasn't that the concealer was much lighter, it's just the fact that I just put the powder over it. I'll pat that around, and I'll just go into my bronzer I use for the day and touch up where I have to touch that up at. And then, you know, my nose contour, I can touch that up since I just covered it. Like that. And just like that, and then that's done. So it doesn't look as bad as it did before, even though like I did check some spots over here on this side where it was already bad. But you can see how much more coverage I have now compared to what I was missing before. So, and that's how I fix my face as a makeup retouch. Now I'm going to wash my face real quick and start with makeup mistakes. Alright, so that's a big difference now. I have absolutely no makeup on at all. I'm going to go through a full face of makeup and I'm going to mess all of it up or show you a way to not mess it up. Because I know I mess up daily and that's how I've learned this. Like nobody ever taught me, hey, this is what you're supposed to do if you mess up here or there or whatever. Like I had to learn this on my own on how I do it. And I do have notes here. I've been taking notes, like I said, for quite a while. I mean, every page has something on it, even the backs. Like I really went about and found every little mistake I possibly could. So, there are a few foundation hacks. Now, I don't have oily skin now, but in the summertime I do. So, I think it was Wayne Goss who had actually said this. If your foundation or concealer ever, like, if you have one that slides off your face a lot and it's really hard to stay, but you really want to keep it, like, you really like it and you want to wear it, all you have to do is mix a little bit of powder into it. So, with that being said, I'm going to take a dewy foundation that never stays on my face. Sorry, I have to get to it. And that would be the Becca Aqua Luminous Foundation. I don't like this foundation because I can't keep it on my face. But for today's video, you know, it's great for me. So, I don't have any primer on. I didn't feel a need to do it because of the way I'm going to be doing this. So you just pump out. This has like a weird pump on it. Like you have to put it in the bottle, squeeze the top, and then it comes out that way. You have to push it, like pump the lid right here. I don't know if you guys have it, you know what I mean. Alright, so I have a really good amount of foundation on my little tray. Right here. Okay. So what you do is you take a loose powder, like the Coty Airspun here, shake some out into the lid. Alright, got way too much in the lid, but you just take something that you can scoop it up with. What can I use? I have my face razors here, so you just scoop a little bit of the powder up. I'll say about that, well, a little less than that. About that much there. It's really a little bit. It looks like a lot because it's on a blue razor, but you pour that into the foundation. I'll show you in a second. Alright, so you see the powder on top of the foundation. So what you do is you mix the powder into it, and this also makes any dewy foundation matte. So you mix the powder, sorry my daughters are laughing. You mix the powder into the foundation like this until you get all the little chunks out. Alright, so now it's all mixed together like that. It also actually lightens the foundation too, so if you have a foundation that's a little bit too dark, you can use that trick to lighten the foundation. So I'll just dip my sponge into it. It's actually very thick now, and it was a very thin foundation, and so you can see it lightened it because it's like exactly my skin color, and this was too dark for me. This is a very glowy foundation. I really don't care for it, like I said, too much because it never stays. But with this hack, it does stay now. And it's not as dewy once it dries. And you also don't have to set it with powder, sorry. Keep forgetting my points on why I do these things. I'm still also getting used to filming while my family's home. I kind of feel like weird talking to my camera. And knowing they're here, I'm like talking lower, and I mean, I guess I'll get used to it eventually, but so I'm looking past just to my mirror. I've also realized with this, you don't need as much foundation when you mix the powder into it. And like I said, it dries down more matte than it would have been. Like this is a very, very glowy foundation, and it still is to an extent because I didn't add that much powder to it. But if I didn't add that powder to it, it would have slid off my face all day. And if you have a concealer that does the same thing, you have a hard time keeping it in place, you can mix a little bit of powder into the concealer on a tray like this, and it'll make it stay. Alright, so I know I look crazy because my eyes aren't covered, but you get the point. I don't want to keep you here forever doing this. It's already going to be a very long video as it is. But, so there's the foundation on, and it's not totally dry, and it is still pretty dewy looking. But, like I said, I didn't add that much powder to it. Oh, there you go. It's drying down. Alright, so you can see it's still a little bit dewy up here, but it's still also wet on my face a little bit. But, like, down here is already dry, and that's almost matte looking already. So I'll have my natural looking glow to my skin, but it won't be as dewy as it would have been. It'll stay put, and it's not really tacky to touch. Another thing you can do, which I already do, I make my own setting sprays, but if your face is too dry after you put on like setting powders and stuff, if you add 2 drops of rose oil to your setting spray, it'll give you more moisture in your face. Now, I'm going to powder my face and show you this, but in this Urban Decay all-nighter bottle, I have a homemade setting spray, and it has rose oil in it, and that's what I use to keep my face moisturized after it dries out. So, let me throw on some concealer real quick. This one already dries down, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm actually going to fast forward Well, I'm actually going to pause my camera, blend all this in, because I don't want the video to be too long, and I'll be right back. Alright, so my concealer is pretty much all blended out. I'm going to put on the Coty Airspun underneath my eyes, because Coty Airspun always dries out underneath my eyes in a matter of minutes. So, throw that right there. You're going to see in a matter of like 2 minutes how dry underneath my eyes get. And also another thing is I don't have any filters. I use my cell phone to film. I've said it 100 times, but I just want everybody to know, in case you don't watch any of my old videos, that I'm not filtering anything. Anything I show you is 100% me. I have no fillers, no anything when it comes to my face. Sorry. So now I'm just going to take my powder brush, powder this down a little bit, and I'm going to dry my face. I'm going to look incredibly white for a minute, I'm sorry. You're probably going to see powder fly everywhere. I'm just trying to make this fast, because I've been trying to keep my videos down. And it's been really hard for me because I have so much I want to talk about and so much I want to show you, and it's hard, but I'm trying to keep my videos down in length. Anyway, so now that I'm extra dry and probably so creasy underneath my eyes, let me see, powder some of it away. Alright, so there you go, instant creasing. Like I said, my skin's already dried out from wearing makeup all day, but that's pretty bad for me on a daily basis. So, this is my homemade setting spray. I would normally do this after I bronze, but for the sake of the video and the length, I'm going to do it now. So, I always spray this before mascara also. If you're putting any oil in your setting sprays, always put on your mascara last. Alright, so I'm going to give that a second to absorb. Alright, so you can already see that I still have that one crease, like I said, but it already looks 100 times less dry than it did before I sprayed it. It's almost totally dry, actually, the setting spray. So there you go. Now you saw how dry and powdery I was, and I'm back to glowy and healthy looking skin, and my skin's not even wet anymore. I mean, you can see there. Otherwise, the foundation would be all over me. So, I'm going to move on to the next one. Alright, so here's the next one. So, say I go to put on my bronzer, and I'm actually going to use the Hoola bronzer because it's a little bit dark right now for me. This is my summertime bronzer, not quite my wintertime bronzer. So, say I go in too dark. Or it gets really muddy. So it's hard for me to get my face dark. Alright, so there you go. So you see this side here. So you see this side here has nothing. This side has hella lot of bronzer. There you go. Alright, so this side has a lot of bronzer. Way too much. Doesn't look good, but for the sake of the video to really show you, I'm going to add a lot of excess blush, which is not hard to do with the Milani Luminoso. Alright, so it's going to be hard to show you on camera a lot, but here we go. Alright, so that there for me is way too much blush. It may not look like it, let me see if I can get a side view so you can see good. It may not look like a lot on camera, but if you can see the blush on camera and it looks like I'm, there you go. And it looks like I'm flushed. I'm wearing so much blush, it's insane. So, whenever you put on too much blush, what you can do is you can take your sponge that you use for your powders, your foundation, everything else. You can tap over it a little bit and slowly bring down the amount of blush that's there in the bronzer, which it worked great for the bronzer, but not quite 100% for the blush. So now if that don't work, what you do is you take your translucent powder again, which I'll use the Coty Airspun because it's right in front of me. I'll put my sponge into the powder, and I'll just tap over it. And it may look crazy for a minute, but it's only for a minute. A lot of people use a brush for it. I use my sponge because when I'm applying so many powders, it will totally dry out my face, and I don't like that. So now, actually, to you guys, it might look like this side looks like this side, which it does at the moment because all the powder on it. But I'm going to take my powder brush, brush away a little bit, and I have a good contour and a little bit of blush. So that's how I fix that. Now, front view, you can see it's still a little bit rosy, but it's not like a crazy amount. I can actually go outside and not feel like Mimi from Drew Carey. So, let me see. I'm not really worried about matching up because I'm only doing it for the video. I'm probably going to look crazy at the end, but I don't care. So there we go. Now I look halfway decent. Notice I said halfway because I'm going to be a mess. So the next thing I will go to is for eyeshadows. Now when I do my eyeshadow, I typically always set my, when I do my eyeshadow, I typically set my eyelids. I have a little bit of concealer on them from when I put that on, and a little bit of powder. Now I'm going to take a palette like this Jaclyn Hill, the big Jaclyn Hill palette, and say you're putting on your crease color. Get lighter color first. So I'm trying to go in a deep color so I can really be able to show you on camera. Here we go. Alright. So you got your crease color on like that. And you're putting the crease color on. So sometimes what I'll do is when I'm putting the crease color on, I'm not really paying attention. I would use a darker color for this to show you. So I'll be putting on a color and, you know, building it up and everything. And then I will end up doing something like that, to where I just brought that burgundy color all the way up there. Now, the first thing I would do is curse, freak out, get mad, whatever. Then I'll take a brush that I use only for translucent powder, and I'll start buffing it away a little bit with translucent powder on it. It's already had it on there because I've been using it this way. So I'll start buffing it away like this. And then clean that brush off. I'll go into a lighter transition shade that I was using and just bring the transition shade up into that area. And you can see there's no more red there. Translucent powder plays a big role in everything I do with my face, especially with repairs. And I really don't know what I'd ever do without it, because 3/4 of my repairs is done with translucent powder. Like, as if I were to, like I said, I was doing my eyes, use a dark color. I'm just trying to build up a color here to show you. So I'm going to bring it out a little further, you know, by accident, but on purpose. Because a lot of people will use tape, a lot of people will use you know, credit cards, whatever else, to fix this corner. Why can't I get it to go out further? Figures, the one time I wanted to come out too far, it don't. There we go. Alright, now it's out way too far. It's actually like out to here, but you can't really see it. I would never bring it out that far for a regular, everyday look, or honestly, I would never bring it out to here ever. So, what I would do with that is, now I have my foundation still on my tray here, and I always keep it for fixing. Like any excess foundation, I won't just get rid of it right away. I always keep it on my tray to fix up little things as I'm going. So what I'll do is I'll take a sponge, which it's nice to have like a little sponge like this one here, which I use this for cream blush, as you can tell. My favorite sponge to use is the Morphe one. So with a regular sponge, all you do is, I'm going to show you both ways, because I want you to, if you have this sponge or this sponge, I want you to know how to use it for this. So I'll just take the tip of the sponge on one end, right there, and I'll dip it into it. I'll pinch the sponge like this here, and then I will take it right at the corner of my eye and tap it over. So just taking that little corner of foundation right across, like this. And then I will take my setting powder, which keeps getting covered with everything. And I will dip that same spot in the powder, tap off the excess, and then just put the powder right there over it, and there you go. Now you can see, sorry, I brought it out a little further, I thought. So there you go, you can see it's totally covered, and it's only in the area I want. Sorry, the camera cut out on me. So it looks a lot better than it did. It's nice and taken care of. It's not brought out as far, whatever. So with the Morphe sponge, it does make it easier, because then you can just tap the very tip of the sponge, like the edge, and I use that to actually make my defined line there. So that way you're not worried about, like you can do the makeup a lot quicker when you have tools like this one here. Now this isn't my very favorite, foundation application sponge, but it is my favorite for repairs. So like I said, you can just take it across like that. You dip the sponge into the foundation, take it up, however you want it. So I brought it up higher now just so you can see how much more it does. Wow. So there you go. So now I would just pat that in with the other end of the sponge. Sorry, this is dry, so it's a little stiff. And then again with the setting powder right over top of it, and it's taken care of. So there's that. Now, if you were to, what am I going on to next? Alright, so say I was putting on my shimmers. So say I take a shimmer. I'm just going to take this one here because I'm not really doing anything specific. Putting it over my eyelid. It's actually a really pretty color. I never used it. Alright, so it's not going to be perfect because I'm just making this as an example. If it was perfect, I wouldn't have time to do this whole video. So there, my lid color's on, and, say it looks a little bit creased because I didn't use enough moisturizer. For whatever reason, it looks creasy. I don't think it really does at the moment. Yeah, there you go. You can see it. There's a little bit of creasing in my lid. So what I would do for that, which I've actually said in quite a few videos, so I'm trying to find my flat top shader brush. I've explained this in quite a few videos. I will take my flat shader brush, I'll spray it with any kind of setting spray or water or anything else, any kind of liquid, and I will just tap over top of it like this. And not only does it make the color stand out more, but it takes away all that creasing. It actually looks really good together. So there you go. You can see there's not as much creasing in there, except for up here where I didn't really get to. And just tap it down like that, and it's good. And there goes my creasing. So the next thing I'll talk about is eyeliner. Now, when I use certain eyeliners, or if I'm in a hurry, I will end up bringing the eyeliner out way too far, or it'll smudge down below, or it'll come, for whatever reason, it'll mess up. So, let's see, a dark eyeliner. So I'm going to put on my eyeliner, I'm going to bring it out too far around, say like right here. And I didn't want the eyeliner out that far, obviously. I don't wear that, like when I wear eyeliner, I put it directly in my waterline, and that's it. Wow, that just scratched my eye. So I wear it like that normally. But this eye, you can see it came out a lot further. So what I'll normally do when I make a mistake like that and I'm in a hurry is I will take a little smudger brush. Any kind of, you can use a pencil brush like this. You can use a regular smudger, you know what it is. Or you can use one of these here. And it's on the end of almost every eyeliner I ever bought. I'll just smudge it out like this. Just to spread it out so it's not such a dominant black color. And then I will take whatever shadow I used in my crease up here on a flat top brush, and I will just tap it over it. And there went my messed up eyeliner. If you want to get rid of it totally, all you have to do is take a Q-tip and get rid of it. Not a big deal. And then tap a little bit of concealer over that. Not really a big deal at all. It's annoying at the moment when you do it. It's very annoying in the moment when you do it. And I'm just using crazier colors, like darker colors, so you guys can see everything I'm doing. So my makeup is not going to match in any way, shape, or form. But it's good enough to show you as an example. So there you go. You can't tell that there is black smudge there. It just looks like I have my drop shadow, I think it's called. Alright, so my next thing is Big thing, I do it all the time. Like, way too much, and it's annoying as all hell. When I'm putting on my mascara, you know, you're doing your mascara like this, and you get it on your eyelid, right in your, you know, freshly done lid color. See if I can do it up high enough to show you. I'll do it in the front so you can really see it. There you go, it's there. Alright. So I was putting on mascara and I messed up. Like always, every day I do it. Let me see if I can get it close enough for you to see without my light messing up. You see the black spot right there? That's what these are good for. These may not be good for a lot of things, like matte colors or, you know, applying eyeshadow, but they're good for removing mascara. So what I'll do is I'll just take the side of the sponge, like that, and I don't want to spread it out too far. It's actually removing the eyeshadow for me. So now you can see there's no more mascara on there. Wipe it off over here. I'll use the back side if I have to. Alright, and then I will take the other end and I will dip that into whatever shimmer shade I used on my lid, or even the matte shade if that's what you're doing, although I don't really think these are good for matte shades. But I'll dip that into the shimmer and apply it right back over it. And there went all that mascara mess. There you go. You can't tell there was mascara all over there. So, good use for these little things instead of tossing them. If you do get mascara underneath your eye, what you can do is wait for it to dry and use a spoolie. If it's still too bad and you still have that grayish black tone, because it happens a lot to me, especially because I have very mature under eyes, what I'll do is I'll tap a little bit of concealer with my finger underneath my eye here, over top of the mascara. Make sure it's blended pretty good, but just by tapping. And then I will take a little bit of setting powder on my sponge and tap it underneath. And it takes away all that mess of mascara. So the next thing I'm going to show you is actually a request. It's a request from Christy. So, big problem I have, I do it a lot. I'm actually going to use the pencil for this so I can actually show you it's right. The pencil's not going to match my eyebrows, but it's going to be for a reason. It's actually going to be too dark. So, big thing I do is when I'm doing my eyebrows, I tend to make them boxy. Now, it's not going to be 100% because I'm trying to mess it up kind of, but they're going to be too dark and they're going to be boxy, just so you know. I'm doing this on purpose though. You see why I don't like this pencil? So I'm going to brush that through real quick. Make this very box. Actually, I'm going to use my little brush real quick to make this very boxy on purpose. I'm using a very dark color to do this so I can show you this, but alright, so there we go. I have a crazy, boxy eyebrow. Which, I'll tell you what, when I first started doing makeup, this is probably what I looked like. Just a heads up, I don't think there's ever any pictures of me out there like that. I hope there isn't, but we'll see one day. So what I'll do is I'll take my, that's why I love this Morphe sponge. This is a necessity for me for doing my makeup because this helps me with a lot of mistakes. So, my eyebrow is very dark, very boxy, very crazy. I messed up underneath here, right there. It brought it down too far. Right here is like very pointed, and that's totally boxed in. So first thing I'll do is I'll take my spoolie, and I'll really brush it through to try to move some of the color around to lighten it. Alright, that's one. Then I will take my spoolie, and I'll dip it in my translucent powder. Just one side. I mean, see how it's coated there, but not there. And I'll take the coated side and I will brush it into the powder. And brush the powder into my brow. Like this. So instantly you can see it's a lot lighter of a brow, except for that one pesky spot right there. So instantly it's like 3 shades lighter, right? Maybe 2. You just get the point. So then I will take my Morphe sponge, which has a straight edge on it, of course, and I will tap it into my translucent powder, and I will brush it underneath my brow here. I'll brush it over the top here. I'll brush it right over the tip here. You can use the tip of the sponge too. So you don't need this Morphe sponge, but like I said, this is like a very big necessity for me. This helps me and makes my makeup so much easier to apply. So I'll just run it through there like that, tap it around. Now, it looks crazy, but when I remove the powder, it won't look as crazy. And I'm going to get closer so you can see that it's not just, you know, trickery of the camera or anything like that. Just translucent powder will save the day. So now that that's done like that, I will take my brush through it again, my spoolie through it again. Make sure it's all done there. You can see how right there is more rounded. I'll even take my brush and just make sure I round it off like that. And then the front is still just a tiny bit boxy, so I will take this here, this end, and I will comb it inward. And it'll take away some of that boxiness, and then, you know, wipe up the corners, and I'm good. And then there's my eyebrow, not as crazy boxy as it was. And it actually looks more realistic because it actually looks like there's the hair strokes in it in the front and everything, and I really did not do that. It's all just using the powder and having it cling to the spots where the crayon or the pencil was. So again, I'll get closer for you. And you can see. Now you can touch it up by putting a little bit of powder in there and make, you know, more hair-like strokes. But you can see how it went from being totally boxed to being a normal look. Now this is my non-existent eyebrows I have now. My hair is like jet black. You can see the roots and everything are up here. And my eyebrows are like, you know, sandy blonde. But anyway, that's how we get rid of a real boxy eyebrow. It's a big thing. And like I said, it's not a trickery thing. It's really just, it's really just translucent powder. Like it really has a big part in my everyday makeup. And not even just for setting. I mean, like I said, I use it for so many different mistakes. It's insane. And that's crazy looking. No makeup almost, and makeup. Anyway, let me see. What else can I do? If you do use something that's too dark and the powder will not cover it, again, the sponge, I'm going to use the pointed side so you can see there. You dip the pointed side into your foundation leftover, or just put a little bit of concealer on your hand and dab the sponge into it. And then just tap into the areas that you want to fix. Like around it, like if you had, say you had to wipe it. Like, say I went like this. Now automatically, you can see all the foundation on my finger. I'm going to have a spot with, see if I can show you, it's more in the front. There's a spot there with no foundation, right? You see it right there? What I'll do is I'll take the foundation or concealer, whatever you choose, and on the sponge, tap it into the spots that you messed up. Just the tip of it. Like I said, just the tip of the sponge. Tap it over those spots. Then dip it back into translucent powder. Press the powder into it. And see if I can get the light off my head. There you go. And it looks the same as it does above here or over here or anywhere else. So that's how you would fix that. So now I'm going to take that setting spray, the one I talked about that I made, that has the rose oil in it. Shake it up. Always shake it before you use it if you put rose oil in it. Spray it over my face. And all that powder is gone. It's not cakey. It's not nasty looking. It's not blotchy. It's just nice. And my skin is still has natural moisture to it. So I'm going to get closer for you so you can see. This has like nothing on it almost except foundation and a little bit of shimmer shade there. But you can see the natural glow in my face. Now with all that powder I use to make repairs and everything, you'd think that it would be like cakey and dry and crusty, but it's not. Just a tiny bit of oil has helped me so much with all these powders, especially because I'm getting older. And I don't, like I said, I don't use fillers. I don't use any of that stuff. I just, you know, it's natural wrinkles, natural creasing, natural everything. Everything drops. It's gravity. There's nothing you can do about it. So that is all of the little tips and tricks I have to show you for today. I'm going to try to cut down this video a little bit so it's not as long, because I know it's probably about 50 minutes right now. I'm going to cut out as much as I can, but without taking out good information. And if I have to, I will make this a 2-part video also. So if you only get half of it, you will get the other part. So anyway, this is it. Not a completed look, but it is a complete example of how I fix my makeup and different tips and tricks that you can use to adjust your makeup, to fix it, to make it look how you want it, even when you're in a rush. Because when I'm in a rush, I tend to mess up more. And the more I mess up, the worse the makeup will look. But if you do it, like I said, like translucent powder, big thing. This Morphe sponge for me is definitely a huge thing. It looks gross for me just doing this, but this sponge has helped me in so many different ways, especially with the eyeshadow. Like, you can bring it all the way out to here. It doesn't matter. All you do is tap the sponge across it with foundation, and it's good. And it has that perfect little slant to it. If you don't have that, you can use the regular side, like I showed you also, by pinching it. And you got that straight edge. And the straight edge is what's going to help you every time. So anyway, I don't want to make this any longer. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any requests for or questions on how to fix things, just let me know and I'll make it into another video. I can make this a series. So yeah, just comment below if you have any more questions or if you have any requests. All right? I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.